What do you mean by Presidential Decree number 857? Are you familiar with the Philippine Ports Authority, their corporate duties and powers? And do you have any idea what are the executive orders attached to this presidential decree, their provisions and functions? Now, if you want to know the answer, please continue watching. Hello, this is Joy, your future LCB, Kristine Joy Bayon-on, and welcome to our discussion. On behalf of my partner, we have Lyca Threcia Magale. May we present to you our presentation for today, and that is all about Presidential Decree number 857. So, to introduce our learning objectives, please let's welcome Ms. Lyca to discuss the following.
Good day. This is your aspiring broker, Ms. Lyca, and these are our learning objectives. Are you excited? I bet you all are. First is to know what is basically Presidential Decree number 857 and its importance and functions to our field. Second is to understand the policies and its underlying powers and duties. Third is to familiarize with the port regulations, penalties, and other related provisions. Lastly is to discuss the following executive orders are Executive Order number 513, Executive Order number 546, Letter of Instruction number 1005A, Executive Order number 710, Executive Order number 783, Executive Order number 159, and Presidential Decree number 505. So basically, at the end of this video, you will get to achieve and to understand those things I've mentioned a while ago. So without further ado, let's start.
Alright, so to start with, we have here the outline of Presidential Decree number 857. Article 1, Title. Article 2, Declaration of Policies. Article 3, Definitions. Article 4, Establishment, Constitution, Powers and Duties. Article 5, Organization and Staff. Article 6, Capital, Finance and Accounts. Article 7, Duties and Rates. Article 8, Port Regulations. Article 9, Transfer of Assets and Liabilities. Article 10, Port Regulations and Maintenance. And Article 11, Final Provisions. Presidential Decree number 857 as amended, providing for the reorganization of port administration and operation functions in the Philippines, revising Presidential Decree number 505 dated last July 11, 1974, creating the Philippine Ports Authority by substitution and for other purposes. We have first Article 1. Under this article, we have Section 1, Title. So this decree shall be known as the revised charter of the Philippine Port Authority, created under Presidential Decree number 505. Under Article 2, we have Section 2, Declaration of Policies and Objectives. So this decree will be hereby declared to be the policy of the state to implement and integrate programs for the planning, development, financing, and operation of ports districts for the entire country, which is the Philippines. Now, for Article 3, we have here Section 3, Definitions. So it is where the terminologies and words that are being used under this decree are hereby defined and stated with their functions and uses. Authority means the Philippine Ports Authority created by this decree. Board means the board of directors of the authority appointed by the President. Functions includes powers and duties. Port district means the territorial jurisdiction under the control, supervision, or ownership of the authority. Port means a place where ships may anchor or tie up for the purpose of shelter, loading or discharging of cargoes. Navigable waters means all navigable portions of the seas and inland waterways. Anchorage means a place with sufficient depth of water where vessels anchor or may ride at anchor within the harbor. Terminal facilities includes the seaport and its facilities of wharves, piers, and loading or unloading equipment. Basin means a naturally or artificially enclosed body of water in free communication with the sea. Dock includes locks, cuts, entrances, graving docks, and other works and things appertaining to any dock. Dry dock means a dock from which the water can be temporarily excluded. Pier means any structure built into the sea but not parallel to the coastline. Warehouse means a building or shed used for the storage of cargoes. Transit shed means a building or shed which is situated at or near a pier. Wharf means a continuous structure built parallel to along the margin of the sea. Transportation facility includes rails, rail cars, and highways, and any kind of facility in use or for use of the transportation. Lighter means a flat-bottom boat or barge used in loading or unloading cargo to or from vessels. Vessel includes any ship or boat or any description of vessel or boat. Dues includes harbor fees, tonnage, and wharfage dues, and any other dues or fees imposed by virtue of existing law or this decree. And then rates means any rates or charges including any toll or rent under existing law or imposed by the authority. Under Article 4, we have Section 4, Creation of Philippine Ports Authority. There is hereby established a body corporate to be known as the Philippine Ports Authority, hereinafter called the Authority, of course, and which shall be attached to the Department of Transportation and Communications for policy and program coordination. The principal office of the authority shall be located in Metropolitan Manila, but it may be established port management units and other offices elsewhere in the Philippines as may become necessary for the proper conduct of its business. Section 5, entitled Port District, the authority may from time to time submit to the President through the National Economic and Development Authority or NEDA applications for the declaration of specific areas as port district. Next, we have Section 6, Corporate Power and Duties, and it is actually divided into two areas. We have the corporate duties of the authority and the corporate powers of the authority. One of the corporate duties of the authority includes to control, regulate, and supervise pilotage and the conduct of pilots in any port district. The corporate powers of the authority shall be as follows: to succeed in its corporate name, to sue and be sued in such corporate name, to adopt, amend, or repeal its bylaws. Section 7, Board of Directors. The Board of Directors, which shall consist of the following members: the Secretary of Public Works, Transportation, and Communication, that will act as chairman. The General Manager of the Authority, which shall act as the Vice Chairman. The Director General of the NEDA, the Secretary of Finance, the Secretary of Natural Resources, and the Secretary of Trade. Alright, so next we have Article 5, Organization and Staff. Under this article, we have first Section 8, Management and Staff. So the President shall, upon the recommendation of the Board, appoint the General Manager and Assistant General Managers. All other officials and employees of the authority shall be selected and appointed on the basis of merit and fitness. The General Manager himself shall determine the staffing pattern and the number of the personnel of the authority. Next, we have Section 9, General Powers and Duties of the General Manager and Assistant General Managers, which is actually divided into two. We have the General Powers and Duties of, first, the General Manager, and second, the General Powers and Duties of the Assistant General Managers. So the general manager shall be responsible to the board, while the assistant general managers shall be responsible to the general manager of the authority. In addition, we have Section 9A, National Port Advisory Council. So it is actually a new section introduced by Executive Order Number 513 as amended by Malacanang Administrative Order Number 15 dated last February 11, 1987. Under Article 6, Capital Finance and Accounts, we have Section 10 entitled Capital. Under Section 11, we have entitled Creation of Reserves. So basically, the balance of any revenue or income of the authority remained at the end of each year shall be applied to the creation of general reserve or such other reserves as the authority may deem appropriate. Next, we have Section 12 entitled Investment of Funds. So the authority may from time to time invest any of its fund not immediately required to be expended in meeting its obligations or in the discharge of the functions of the authority. Section 13 entitled Borrowing Power. So the authority may, after consultation with the central bank and the DOF, and of course with the approval of the president, can raise funds either from local or international sources, by way of loans, credits, or indebtedness. Pursuant to Section 14 entitled Annual Budget. So the board shall every year cause to be prepared and shall adopt annual estimates of income and expenditures and estimates of capital expenditure of the authority for the ensuing year. Section 15 entitled Annual Accounts. The board shall cause proper accounts and other records of the authority in relation thereto to be kept. Pursuant to Section 16 entitled Auditor, in consonance with existing laws and regulations, the Commission of Audit shall be appointed to audit the accounts of the authority. Next, we have Section 17, Auditor's Report. We also have Section 17 entitled Annual Report. So the board shall submit to the President of the Philippines, together with the Auditor's Report, on the relevant accounts. An annual report generally deals with the activities and operations of the authority. We have Article 7, Dues and Rates. Under this article, we have Section 19 entitled Dues. So the President of the Philippines may, upon recommendation of the authority, increase or decrease such dues collectible by the authority, simply to protect the interests of the government and to provide a satisfactory return on the authority's assets. So pursuant to Section 20 entitled Rates and Charges, so the authority may impose, fix, prescribe, increase, or even decrease such rates, charges, or fees for the use of port premises. Next, we have Section 21 entitled Remission of Dues, Rates, and Charges. So there will be no amount due in respect of dues, rates, or charges shall be waived or reduced except of the following: where the state has arrangements with a foreign government in respect of the vessels that are not normally engaged in the conveyance of cargo or passengers, and for vessels seeking shelter from inclement weather or entering the port for medical help and other maritime necessity. Under the same article, we also have Section 22 entitled Remedies for the Non-Payment. So if the master or the owner or agent of any vessel refuses or neglects to pay on demand any dues, rates, or charges made under the decree thereof, the authority may act. They can distrain or arrest on its own authority, retain the same until the amount or amounts due have been paid. Under the same article, we also have Section 23, when rates payable and lien. Rates or charges in respects of goods to be landed become payable immediately on landing such goods. The rates or charges in respects of goods to be shipped are payable before the goods are being loaded. Alright, next we have Section 24, Recovery of Lien. Without prejudice to the authority and rights of the BOC, any goods which have been placed in or in the premises of the authority are not removed therefrom within the prescribed period, the authority may actually dispose these goods in the manner as it deems fit in order to recover the lien. Then we have Section 25, Exemption from Realty Taxes. So basically, the authority shall be exempted from the payment of the real property taxes. Of course, provided that no tax exemption shall be extended and that the investments in fixed assets shall be deductible for the income tax purposes. Now we are on the Article 8 entitled Port Regulations. As for the Section 26, power to make port regulations, actually the authority may, after consultation with the relevant government agencies, they make rules or regulations for planning, development, construction, maintenance, control, and management of any port or port district. Alright, next section 27 entitled Dangerous Cargo. So the authority may make regulations for the conveyance, storage of dangerous goods within any port. The authority themselves may also provide separate regulations for each category of ports or port districts. So under Section 28, these are the power of harbor master. First, to direct where any vessel shall be berthed, moored, or anchored. Second, direct the removal of any vessel from any berth. And to regulate the mooring of vessels within the port and the approaches to the port. As for the Section 29 existing regulations, so anything to the contrary notwithstanding and until new rules or regulations are promulgated by the authority under Section 26 and 27 of this decree shall continue to apply as if they were made under said sections and any reference to a customs official. So we are now on our Article 9 entitled Transfer of Assets and Liabilities. So under this article, we have Section 30. Transfer of existing and completed physical facilities. There shall be transferred to the authority all existing and completed public port facilities. We also have Section 31, Transfer of Intangible Assets. So basically, in accordance with the transitory provisions of this decree, there will be a transfer to the authorities belonging to the Bureau of Customs and the Bureau of Public Works. Basically, that's Department of Public Works and Highways now. And other agencies relating to port works or port operations, so those all ongoing projects relating to the construction of ports and ports facilities will be continued by the agency or agencies involved until it is completed. Next, we have Section 33, Transfer of Liabilities and Debts. Alright, so we also have Section 34, the PCG or the Philippine Coast Guard shall retain ownership of its properties which are basically necessary for the enforcement of laws and regulations pertaining to safety of life and property at sea, or basically known as SOLAS. Under the same article, we also have Section 35. There, it also discusses the transfer of staff officials and employees which are abolished or reorganized may actually be absorbed by the authority on the basis of merit and fitness. Under the same article, we also have Section 36. It stated there that all officials and employees whose service are terminated shall be given gratitudes equivalent to 1 month's salary for every year of continuous satisfactory service rendered. And then here we go with the Article 10 entitled Port Development and Maintenance. So for Section 37, so it's like any provisions of law to the contrary notwithstanding, the Philippine Ports Authority or the PPA shall be responsible for the planning of all ports under its port system. Under Article 11, Final Provisions, we have first Section 38 entitled Transitory Provisions. Pursuant to Section 39 entitled Bureau of Customs. So the Tariff and Customs Code is hereby modified or amended to the extent shall be transferred to and be vested in the authority. Section 40, Other Laws. So any and all other powers and rights shall be transferred to and be vested in the authority. Pursuant to Section 41, repeal Section 42 entitled Separability Clause. So under this same article, we also have Section 43 entitled Penalties. For any shall be punished by imprisonment for not less than 1 day but not more than 6 years. And they will also be paying a fine of not less than 200 pesos but not more than 100,000 pesos. Then lastly, we have Section 44 entitled Effectivity. This decree shall take immediate effect upon its promulgation. Former President Ferdinand Marcos, our 10th president in the year 1965 to 1986, was his regime that these Presidential Decree number 857 and the executive orders that will be discussed later on Of course, by the virtue of the powers vested in him by the Constitution, in order to effect desired changes and reforms in the social, do hereby decree and order the revision of the Presidential Decree number 505 by substitution with this decree which is hereby adopted and made part of the laws of the land.
Executive Order Number 513 is reorganizing the Philippine Ports Authority. It is the declared policy of the state to implement an integrated program for the planning, development, financing, and operation of ports or port districts for the entire country. Executive Order Number 546 is directing the Philippine National Police to undertake active support to the armed forces of the Philippines in internal security operations for the suppression of insurgency and other serious threats to national security. Letter of Instruction Number 1005A. It is a declared national policy to support and accelerate the development of government port facilities. It is a prime concern of government to protect the interests of legitimate port workers and port users in the country. Executive Order Number 710 is creating a Ministry of Public Works and Highways. Under the new republic, national economic development shall be pursued with renewed dedication and greater determination. The separation of the functions pertaining to public highways from those concerning public works had been prompted by the necessity of hastening the completion of the major road networks of the country. Executive Order Number 783 is amending further the composition of the Board of Directors of the Maritime Industry Authority and the Philippine Ports Authority. Shipping and ports development are correlated, complementary, and inseparable undertakings requiring an integrated and coordinated planning and strategies for the attainment of an efficient and viable water transportation network. Executive Order Number 159 is reverting to the Philippine Ports Authority its corporate autonomy, ensuring the rapid development of ports or the port system directly under it, and authorizing it to execute port projects under its port program. Presidential Decree Number 505 is providing for the reorganization of port administration and operations function in the country, creating the Philippine Port Authority. Harbors and the tributary areas have their own peculiar potentialities to be considered in port development.
So that ends our presentation. How was it? Congratulations to everyone!
Attached simplified copies of the presentation are provided below.
Thank you for watching, and I hope you have learned something from us. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe to our channel, and turn on that notification bell so you won't be missing any updates. Please continue learning.
Again, this is Lyca.
And this is Joy. Thank you again, and have a great day.